Here is a tutorial on how to complete part B of assignment number 4 for formulas in Excel. So I've gone ahead and just typed in all the information in my chart. First thing we want to do is make sure when you're doing part B, you're working in sheet 2. So for the part A of this assignment, we worked in sheet 1, and now we're going to be working in sheet 2. So I've gone ahead and typed in all the information for my chart. When you're inputting all of your data, make sure you're inputting it correctly into each proper cell. So for instance, where it says track test, the cell I would be writing that in is B1, and I want to make sure that I wrote it in B1, and I have. So I've gone ahead and just double checked that I inputted all of my data correct. Once you have that complete, the first thing we're going to do is it's going to ask us in cell D3 to write the heading velocity. And it tells us that in order to determine the velocity of each car, we have to take the total distance and we divide it by the total time. So one way that you could do it, but that's not the way we want you to do it for this assignment, is you could type in equal sign 123.45 slash, because it's division, divided by 6.78, and it will give you the following value. However, what we want to do is we're going to do our find our velocity by dividing cell B4, which is distance, by cell C4. So that's what we should have for our velocity formulas. So I've gone ahead and just typed that in, equal sign B4 slash C4. And the reason we would do it this way is if you had an extremely long number, it's just going to limit any error that you might have if you were to input that value incorrectly. So we know we've done it right if we have it inputted correctly in the first place. So we should get an accurate velocity. So that's what you're going to do to determine the velocity of each car. It also asks you in cell D9 to put a heading or title of the word average, because we're going to figure out the average velocity. And in order to calculate the average, Excel has some predetermined formulas. So we're going to go equals, and we're going to type in the word average. So we'll just do this one together to show you. Average. It's going to pop up here, and there's a few ways I can do this. The first way I can do this is I could double click left on average. It opens that up, and then I can left click and hold and just move my cursor over top of all the values I want it to include in this formula. When it does that, the way it pops up is it's telling Excel, I want you to take whatever value is in cell D4, colon, and go all the way to cell D8, and then close bracket. So you then have to go Shift 0 in order to close my bracket, and I would just go Enter. The other thing it's going to ask you is it's going to ask you to make sure that all of your decimal places are to the nearest 2 decimal places. So I'm just going to go ahead and maximize this so we can see. One of the things I've already done when I rounded down to the nearest 2, which is what you're going to do, the first number you should see here is actually this number. That's what you should see. It's asking for the nearest 2 decimal places, so make sure you have the cells selected, and you're just going to go to decrease decimal all the way until you get to 2 decimal places, which is what it wants. So that's what you do for rounding off your decimal.